The late 19th century witnessed the rise of two powerful nationalist movements in Europe, Zionism and Palestinian nationalism. Zionism, fueled by anti-Semitism in Europe, sought to establish a Jewish homeland in Palestine. This land, however, was already inhabited by a significant Arab population, who came to identify themselves as Palestinians. The Palestinians naturally resisted the Zionist project, viewing it as a threat to their own national aspirations. The British, who controlled Palestine after World War I, made conflicting promises to both sides, further complicating the situation. The Balfour Declaration of 1917, while expressing support for a national home for the Jewish people in Palestine, also emphasized that nothing shall be done which may prejudice the civil and religious rights of existing non-Jewish communities in Palestine. This ambiguous declaration only served to exacerbate tensions between Jews and Arabs. As Jewish immigration to Palestine increased, particularly in the 1930s, so too did Arab resentment and violence. The 1936-39 Arab revolt in Palestine, brutally suppressed by the British, marked a turning point in the conflict, solidifying Palestinian national identity and hardening attitudes on both sides. The stage was set for a bitter struggle over the same piece of land, a struggle that would continue to define the region for decades to come. In the aftermath of World War II and the Holocaust, international sympathy for the Zionist cause grew, leading to increasing pressure on Britain to resolve the question of Palestine. Unable to find a solution acceptable to both Jews and Arabs, Britain referred the matter to the newly formed United Nations. In 1947, the UN Special Committee on Palestine, or UNSCOP, recommended partitioning Palestine into two states, one Jewish and one Arab, with Jerusalem placed under international control. The UN Partition Plan, adopted by the UN General Assembly on November 29, 1947, allocated 56% of Palestine to the proposed Jewish state and 43% to the Arab state. Jerusalem, considered holy by both Jews and Muslims, was to be placed under a special international regime. The Jews, though unhappy with the division of territory, accepted the plan, seeing it as an opportunity to establish an independent state. The Arabs, however, vehemently rejected the partition plan. They argued that it was unfair to give more than half of Palestine to a minority population that owned only a small fraction of the land. They also viewed the plan as a violation of their right to self-determination. The Palestinians, in particular, felt betrayed by the international community, which they believed had sided with the Zionists and ignored their plight. The rejection of the partition plan by the Arab leadership set the stage for the 1948 Arab-Israeli War. The 1948 Arab-Israeli War, known to Israelis as the War of Independence and to Palestinians as Al-Nakba, the catastrophe, erupted immediately following the end of the British Mandate for Palestine on May 15, 1948. As the British withdrew, Jewish leaders declared the establishment of the State of Israel, fulfilling the Zionist dream of a Jewish homeland. The surrounding Arab states, Egypt, Syria, Transjordan, Lebanon and Iraq, immediately invaded the newly declared state, aiming to prevent the creation of Israel and to defend the Palestinian Arabs. The war was a watershed moment in the history of the Middle East, resulting in a decisive victory for Israel and a crushing defeat for the Arab world. The war had a profound impact on the demographics of the region. During the fighting, over 700,000 Palestinians fled or were expelled from their homes, becoming refugees in neighboring Arab countries. This mass displacement, known as the Palestinian Exodus, remains a highly sensitive issue to this day. The war also significantly expanded Israel's territory beyond the boundaries allocated to it under the UN Partition Plan. By the time the war ended with the signing of armistice agreements in 1949, Israel controlled 78% of Mandate Palestine, while the remaining 22% was divided between Jordan, which took the West Bank, and Egypt, which took the Gaza Strip. The 1948 war marked the beginning of the Palestinian refugee problem, the ongoing Israeli-Palestinian conflict, and the wider Arab-Israeli conflict.